Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Game preview episode, favorite episode of the week. We got the Browns coming into the bank this Sunday, 1 o'clock. Huge division game. The Browns are 5-3. Ravens are 7-2. This would obviously flip things. If the Browns could win, they'd be 6-3. The Ravens would be 7-3, and because they haven't had their bye yet. So this is a big AFC North game. And then we got the Bengals a few days after that. These two games are crucial to how this AFC North is going to play out. The Ravens could really take a stranglehold of the North if we win these next two games. Also doing another giveaway in this episode. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to ask a question somewhere in this episode. So you got to watch the whole thing, like and subscribe, and then just comment your answer. It'll be a stat prediction. The closest answer wins, and I'll give the winner $50 after the game. Just check your YouTube replies. But let's dive into the game. So two defenses playing out of their minds. I mean, the Browns defense is really balling right now. They're actually letting up the lowest amount of yards per game. And then the Ravens on the other side are letting up 13 points per game. And we lead the league in sacks. So, I mean, these are all-time defenses clashing here. We played the Browns earlier in the year and had a lot of success against their defense, to be honest. But they didn't have Deshaun Watson. They kind of last minute threw DTR in. It was his first game. The Ravens defense was absolutely eating him up. And with all those 3-and-outs and quick possessions, the Browns defense is on the field the entire time, and the Ravens were obviously able to move the ball and get some things done. So looking at the last Ravens-Browns matchup is probably not a good indication of how this one may go. I don't think it'll be the same just because Watson is obviously better and is more prepared, more importantly. You know, I don't think Watson is some incredible quarterback. I really don't. Not right now, at least. You know, I know he has been in the past, but I never really feared Watson that much. Even when he was dominating on the Texans with DeAndre Hopkins, I remember I went to a game a few years ago when the Texans came into Baltimore, and they were a hot team. They were a really good team, and we beat them by like 30 or 40. I don't know. I just never really feared Watson that much, but I completely understand that Watson is a lot better than DTR, and I think the Browns offense will perform tremendously better than they did the first time against Baltimore. So therefore, by the Browns being able to stay on the field a bit more, I think it'll give the Browns defense a chance to be more fresh and have some success against the Ravens offense. So I'm expecting a lower scoring game. I'll give my score prediction at the end of this video, but I am expecting a lower scoring game. I don't know if it'll be Ravens-Steelers low because we were terribly sloppy in that game and had like 9 drops. So I think we'll score more than 10 for sure, or we're going to lose. But I don't expect this game to get into the 30s for any team, honestly. I know the Ravens have scored 30-plus in 3 straight weeks. If they can continue that this week, I'd be amazed. You know, I'd be even more confident than I am about this team if we can score 30-plus on this Browns defense. I just don't see that happening. I think with Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Zadarius Smith, and I mean, this Browns defense is legit. And so is the Ravens. So where's the edge? You know, I honestly think the defenses kind of equal each other out. Now let's flip to the offensive side of the ball where both of these offenses for the Browns and Ravens have to go against these defenses. Who has the edge? Well, the Ravens are running the ball at an insane rate right now. We had 298 yards last week against Seattle. Now that's not going to happen again against this Cleveland front, but the Ravens offense is starting to pick up steam and find an identity. And they're rolling. They're confident. They got the swagger. Lamar leads the NFL in completion percentage. He's the most accurate quarterback. He's got a low number of touchdowns this year because we've been running the ball a lot in the red zone. I'm just glad we're converting in the red zone. Obviously, if we're talking about Lamar's second MVP, you'd want more touchdowns. You want Lamar to kind of have those 3, 4, 5 touchdown games because you need to pad the stats a little bit. But if it's just about winning games and about efficiency, Lamar's playing his best ball of all time. And I'd rather the Ravens run and have a high chance of scoring that touchdown in the red zone when you're on the 5-yard line than have a couple incompletions because we can't fit the pass in and now we're kicking field goals. So if it means Lamar has some less touchdowns for us to be more productive, I'm for that. And I think the Ravens offense has an edge. For one, we've already had success against this Cleveland defense. And I know the circumstances of that game, like we just talked about, were different. So there is, you can take a little weight off of that. But regardless, we got to have confidence coming against this team because we've already played them and had success. Deshaun Watson hasn't faced this current Ravens defense, and that's going to be very important. I think both teams are going to be able to put some pressure on Watson and Lamar. But I just trust this Ravens offense more. I trust their run game more. And I trust the ability to pass off of that. Lamar is playing very efficient ball all season long. Watson just came back last week. Now, he did have a good game last week. They have a threat in Amari Cooper and threat at David Njoku, and Jerome Ford at running back's really good. And I like their roster. I like their team. But I don't think it stands up against the Ravens roster. The Ravens have more weapons and a better quarterback. The Ravens offense is dangerous. Now, I don't think we're going to look quite as good against this Browns defense, but I'm just talking about edge. Who can put up more points? Who can put together more drives? I think the Ravens are just very well-rounded. Now, I don't want to discredit the Browns. I just haven't seen enough. Watson hasn't been there for a few weeks. Came back last week, looked solid, but against a subpar team. Now you're coming into Baltimore, division matchup. A lot of stakes on the line, probably a playoff atmosphere. I just don't see how the Browns have a ton of success in this matchup on offense. Now, they did pick up James Prochet. Obviously, former Raven, was here for a while. Never really did much in games, but probably has a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure he's feeding them some knowledge or whatever, but they know the Ravens a little bit. We've already played them. So I don't really think he's going to be able to give too much, and that would just be ammo to the defense, who already plays really well and already knows our team. So I don't really think that's an edge either way to have James Prochet, but that pickup is definitely for education, in my opinion. The way for the Browns to win this game, they can't turn the ball over on offense, and then the Ravens have to make some mistakes and turn the ball over, whether that's strip sacks with the offensive line letting up, or misexchanged handoffs. That's been a problem throughout the year, mainly with Justice Hill and Lamar. I think we're going to see a little less Justice Hill right now. We got a new weapon in Keaton Mitchell right now, who bursted onto the scene last week. So if he can keep up and we keep getting him involved, things could be a little different too. That adds another dynamic to the Ravens offense. And that leads us to the giveaway question. How many total rushing yards are the Ravens going to have this week against the Browns? Total rushing yards. We had 298 last week, which is obviously crazy. But how many yards are we going to have against this Browns defense, who is stout? It's not going to be easy. But I think the Ravens are going to have to run the ball. It's became our identity a little bit. We're going to have some success on the ground. So what's your guess? Comment below. Closest answer wins $50. You can go over, you can go under. It doesn't matter. Whoever's closest wins. Best of luck, guys. Back to the point of how the Browns win this game is winning the turnover battle. I think if there's no turnovers at all on either side and it's a clean game, the Ravens have an edge. Their offense, I just think, isn't going to be able to make as many plays as the Ravens offense can. Lamar brings a very dynamic skill set that nobody else in the entire NFL brings. There's just a lot more to think about. Lamar has no problem holding onto that ball and running. So every time there's a read option or an RPO, there's just too many things to think about. You can watch on film. Everyone's freezing. The linebackers, the safeties, they're watching. And that delay to see where the ball's going is the issue. Now you're already blocked by linemen running down the field, and the Ravens have the advantageous numbers. So there's just more to worry about in the Ravens offense than there is in the Browns offense, which I think runs a bit more simpler, and our defense has an edge there. So I think the Browns can only win the game if they win the turnover battle and the Ravens are kind of shooting themselves in the foot by giving the ball back, or the Browns are just making a lot of plays. Myles Garrett has a couple strip sacks, or he was pressuring Lamar all day and he ends up throwing a pick and forcing a pass, things like that. If they can make Lamar make mistakes and the Ravens offense make mistakes, then the Browns have a great shot to win this game. My final score prediction, Ravens win 23-17. A little bit of a lower scoring game just because both defenses are so strong. I think the Ravens struggle a little bit more in the red zone this week and have to kick some field goals, but regardless, I think they come out on top, get a much, much needed division win to kind of separate in this AFC North, which is a dogfight right now. I mean, the Ravens are 7-2 and everyone else is 5-3. That is not fun to be in. Obviously, it's good to be at the top of that, but we got 2 division games right here. If they don't go well, we're all of a sudden in 3rd or 4th place fighting for a wild card spot. And the Bengals are rolling, and the Browns, if Watson stays healthy, are obviously on the rise and getting better. So I think it's a huge win, but the Ravens know that, and it's at Baltimore, which I think is a big edge. They've been playing lights out at home. We've beat the Lions and Seahawks in the last 3 weeks, 75-9. Let me know your thoughts below. Score predictions, bold predictions, what's going to happen. Hopefully you heard the giveaway question. And as always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.